me, I look at lessons from Nepal is from the perspective of geopolitics and how it's playing out for India in Nepal, and what India needs to learn, Preeti, is the fact that there is disparity there, and that's the reason why we saw the agitation. Nobody can say that there is no disparity here. It's a democracy, but the disparity is absolute and extreme. When the trend started about Nepo kids, and look at the kind of coverage, there are so many sections within Nepal today who are not kind to India. Indian reporters over there, our reporting has been affected because so many of them are actually anti-India. And when the entire trend started about Nepo kids over there, saying that these ministers' kids, and when Indians went there to report it, they started trending Nepo kids of India, saying that this is the minister, his son is this. This is the media. No, we might not have shut down Rakshita. I'm talking about the fact
that
this is a murder.
Geeta, over the years, Nepalese politicians have very cleverly converted what are legitimate protests of the people of Nepal and brought in an anti-India angle. I've seen it over the years.
Yes.
This happens only to create a cross-party support. I don't think that should worry us in India.
But we should worry us.
No. I don't think that should worry us in India in terms of the fact. I don't think India is responsible for what happens in Nepal. This is ultimately an internal issue of Nepal.
2014-2015 blockade, Rajdeep,
I know there was anger then.
Which really created what it has created for the youth.
That was a
Why does the youth in Nepal think a certain way about India is because of 2014-2015.
I'm trying to whip up. I'm trying to whip up the anti-India sentiment. You had, Oli's statement yesterday where he practically blamed India.
No, that's not a statement
for sure
from Oli.
Whether the statement was given by him or not. But
we don't know yet.
But his camp is anti-India.
But that has so Oli imprint in it that even if someone has manufactured it, it had those elements of the Oli's so-called statement and his stance. But if you see, in Nepal or many country in our neighborhoods, unfortunately, this has become a trend that if someone want to rile up the nationalistic sentiment, they keep India as a punching bag. But if you see what has happened, you listed out the changes around us. Right. And this, makes us, more worried or like how to take lessons.
Or should we be worried?
Like, we have reasons to be concerned about, and we have some reasons to remain assured as well. Because look, democracy is not a monolithic structure. Democracy is a dynamic structure. You have to protect your democracy every day. So that effort need to be done. But if you see, there is a post-COVID angle in it. There is a post-social media advent angle in it. And globally, the democracies are reeling under pressure. Every democracy is reeling under pressure because there are many factors here. Because the advent of social media today, algorithms are deciding whether they are platforms or whether they are publishers. We as a publishers have accountability. At times they play that they are platforms, but algorithms are deciding. They are deciding that which post of yours will go viral.
That's
and
true.
you'll publish more of those contents, and this is how they are fueling that sentiment. Whether it is by design or by default, I can't say for sure. But yes, this remains a factor, and this remains a factor in every country for that matter. If you see the MAGA thing is now going to Germany in AFD. MAGA thing is going to
the
France.
Right wing, the
MAGA thing is going to now after 2 days on Saturday. You are going to have Raise Your Color campaign in United Kingdom, and there's going to be an anti-immigrant sentiment there. Okay. So look, every country has its own
elements. Should such elements try this in India, you need to be one, careful. Two, my point, if I may, remains because we have a very strong executive, legislature, judiciary, media, and social media. There are so many safety valves in our system. The steam gets out. The protests that Rajdeep talks about, they're covered in the media. It goes to a court of law. It's decided in a court of law, and you have faith in a court of law. You may agree with the judgment, you may not agree with the judgment, but once the judgment is given,
we can't discount the economic disparity with every developing economy. Economic disparity is a big factor.
At the same time, do keep in mind that we are an economy that's growing at 7.8% this fiscal, 7% this year. The fact remains we are a $4 trillion economy, and everyone
the fact also remains that the periodic labor survey, which the government conducts on a monthly basis, now pegs unemployment at 5.6%, which has been the highest in many years. Number one. Number two, you have a huge chunk of this country which is not really happy with the free ration that you've been giving them to compensate for the have-nots.
Yes.
So there
Free
is
ration-
disparity. We need to
Unemployment
address
ration,
that.
If I may, the free ration,
Right.
just permit me, since this
Sure.
free ration is raised very often, the free ration is not a dole for him to just eat and sit at home. It's just to help him use that money, him and her, to use whatever money they would spend on that food elsewhere.
Gaurav,
And
all-
then just
I don't think
ensure
you-
that 80 crore people are not starving. Look at the way people are standing in queues.
They shouldn't be
queues.
jobless and
Gaurav,
not
Gaurav,
starved.
the
Well,
fact-
you know, everyone also
There
has
has
to
to
make
be
that
some.
effort to get a job. Everyone
Gaurav,
cannot
I'm not
bank on a
saying they could
government
use it as a
job.
reason.
Do
I'm
not
just saying
bank on a
we
government
need-
job.
we need-
create
We
jobs.
need to be aware. We need to be
Create
aware
jobs.
of the
Every
extreme
Indian makes
disparity.
that effort.
Go ahead.
I
Every
started,
Rajdeep.
you know, my
I'm
worry,
not the government.
my
you're not the
worry,
government.
my worry with
Private
these
jobs.
Okay, we are going
There
this
are
way again.
Rajdeep.
Gita, I'll come to you.
Industries are not getting skilled labor, so upskill yourself to get that job.
That
No,
also has to be a
I
responsibility.
worry with where we
skilling.
started off. What was my initial point? That the only
Right.
big lesson is that in a world, and I said world, not just India, across the world, of growing, sharpening inequalities at various levels, there will be protests at different stages. Now, those protests take different forms. In Nepal, they've taken the form of these violent street protests. That may not necessarily be the case in India. I don't see how we suddenly moved from me raising the issue of tribals who want to protect their land against land acquisition and the concentration of wealth in the hands of a few to suddenly Sartan say Juda. Where is the link? I'm not even drawing that link.
No, you did.
I did not.
Akshita
Just a
and
minute.
Akshita and I did.
Yeah, because you want to play to a particular narrative. That is not the narrative of Nepal. For God's sake, the topic is, what are Nepal's lessons for
Not
India?
just Nepal,
Nepal's
Bangladesh,
lessons stem.
Bangladesh,
Just
you
a
have
minute. You
radical
must allow me.
Islamists.
You must
Okay, I'll
allow
come
me.
back. Allow.
That's not the topic. The topic
It
is,
is.
what are we to learn from Nepal?
Nepal.
Nepal, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka.
Misgovernance, corruption, nepotism, unemployment, migration are being used as the factors why Nepalese youth are angry. Now, I could well turn around and I will take you to different parts of this country where Indian youth are also restive, particularly when it comes to student paper leaks, when it comes to the manner in which a privileged elite with their networks, with their contacts, tend to monopolize certain jobs. It's not as if there are enough government jobs in the country. That's a major challenge. Of course, skilling is a challenge. But these are all problems that democracy has to wrestle with. Do not use the heavy hand of the state, the danda, to bring it down. Find ways to engage with them, to dialogue with them. It's my belief that even the farmer protests could have been better handled if there had been early willingness to dialogue with people rather than anyone who dissents against the
Even
system
Nepal protests
being
could have been
branded as
handled better by
Even
anti-national.
Nepal, for
Even
that
Nepal
matter, could have been
protests.
handled way better.
Much
Akshita,
better.
okay,
The first day
Akshita.
those 20 people killed is what turned
Yes.
that
And
anger
Rajdeep
turned the
into
tide.
total
Yeah.
Not
anger.
even
Putting
Bangladesh.
people-
Akshita, Gita, allow
There are
Akshita.
ways to look at every protest. The great thing about India, Rajdeep, is yes, sure, and no one's saying India is perfect. There are obviously issues that have to be addressed. The great thing about India is you can voice your concerns. You can go out there and protest. You will get the backing if you want it. You can hit the streets tomorrow. If I have an issue and I want to stage a dharna, I can go ahead and do it.
Do you
I
know
can
the
take
number
to
of
social
Jharkhand
media and go
tribals who are
ahead
put
and
in
do
jail
it.
under
My
sedition?
only point
Are you
is,
aware, madam, of the number of
are you
Jharkhand tribals
suggesting we're not
who
a
are put
vibrant
in jail under
democracy?
for
Are you
sedition?
suggesting we're not a vibrant
No,
democracy?
1 minute. When see again, you may. I
That's
am
my point.
giving you a
There are
specific
cases
example.
that are right.
There are
Please,
cases
there are
flash
enough
against
cases
people
in
who
this
protest.
country where people who have protested, who
Have
have
been
raised a
slapped
red
cases
flag,
against.
have been damned and
Yes.
put in jail and under
Okay,
laws
Rajdeep,
which is-
allow Akshita to finish.
Look at the
Allow
number of
Rajdeep,
cases.
Rajdeep, allow Akshita to finish. Allow Akshita to
There
finish.
is a judiciary
She's
for a
trying to
reason, and that's the thing about India, that you have checks, which is what Gaurav also was
A
referring to.
judiciary which
And
sat on
listen,
habeas corpus
so,
petitions of Kashmiris for years? Is that a
So we're
judiciary that we should be...
suggesting the judiciary is
There are weaknesses in our
compromised now?
system. We must accept those.
I have
There are
said
weaknesses
India is
in our
not
media.
perfect.
Our media doesn't take the government enough to task in many states and at the center. Our judiciary sits when it's
There
convenient.
is a social
Okay.
media.
A
I'm
sitting
sorry.
government spent
You know,
3 years
again,
in jail
I will always
and
bring
the
it
courts
back.
will open on a Saturday for a privileged journalist.
we are
Oh,
That's
I'm
not
so
my
sorry.
fault. We are
Courts
suggesting
only
now that the
open here. Courts open at midnight for a terrorist to save a terrorist from being hanged.
He was
Courts,
hanged.
Yes, but
He was
courts,
hanged.
but
He
courts,
went through due
courts
process.
will not open for you and I.
No,
Courts
no.
will only open for those terrorists.
No.
And you know these
Again,
two
you're
lakh
using
people.
a wrong example
I
to
am
make
not
a-
using a wrong example.
Okay,
I'm against
went to
running
jail
down. I'm
and then
against
was
running
hanged.
down. You see, India is doing extremely well on these aspects. The world is actually looking up to India
Okay.
because we are able to deliver. Because you have executive, legislature, judiciary, media,
Okay.
and social
You know, I
media.
want to.